Hello. This demo is about how to create easily virtual machine clusters using SUSE Manager and how to use them. To make things faster for this demo, the system is already installed, but I will show you how I installed it, and then we'll see how to use it. You see that I have three nodes, three systems registered to SUSE Manager. Two of them are hypervisors and one is Grafana for the monitoring. Let's see first how the cluster is configured using a system group. So I created a KVM cluster system group. In it, I added two systems. Well, the two nodes. Can add more, of course. And then everything happens in the formulas. Here we have three formulas: the virtualization host, Prometheus exporters, and the cluster ones. Let's see how they're configured. The virtualization host is just a KVM hypervisor that we will install. And we'll keep the default storage pool in virtual network just for the sake of simplicity. The default network is still, as recommended, a bridge. We're using BR0. And the default pool, however, has a path to SRV cluster FS. We will see later that this is the path where OCFS2 disk will be mounted on the nodes. The exporters here, not much to see, so we are just enabling the node exporter to have data on hardware and OS. And the cluster formula here, so we set a cluster name. The first node here is the host name of one of the nodes, whichever you want, because it's just the first that will be installed, and then the other ones will be joined to it. The interface here has been changed to BR0 because it's the only interface that we have in the virtualization host. I picked a free IP on my network and I assigned it here. It will be a resource, an IP resource on the cluster that will point to one of the nodes, of the running nodes. And then I have added one SBD device and one OCFS2 device. SBD device will be for fencing, and the OCFS2 device will hold all the virtual machines disk images. In our demo, we will also hold the virtual machine definitions. And there also we enable the monitoring using HA Cluster Exporter. There is a tiny bug at the moment because the package is only available in /4SAP repositories so far, and it's on the way to be also in the repositories of /HA extension. After all this is configured and saved, just apply the high state. It takes a little while to create everything, and you have a cluster ready. It installs Hawk, the UI for your cluster, and you see here everything: the admin IP, the cluster file system, and the SBD. In Grafana, we also have not the client systems. Oh, sorry. Again, the cluster details. Cluster details where we have here our cluster and all the data. To get this done, we'll see how the Grafana system has been configured, because there is a little trick. So in the states here, we see where our states are coming from. This is new in 4.2. And the interesting part is here, the Prometheus cluster config. It creates a cluster scrape config for Prometheus. And in this one, we will list for each node where the HA cluster exporter is listening. This will be used in the Prometheus formula. Here, there is a user-defined scrape configuration with the job name cluster1. It's no mystery. There is a reason why it's exactly the cluster name. It's just because this is what will be shown in Grafana. So if you put something different, it may be confusing. And here's the path to the file that we have just seen. With this, you will have the cluster dashboard as we saw. Now, we have a cluster, it's ready. Let's use it. We'll go on our KVM1 system, virtualization, and here we will create a guest. There's nothing different from creating a guest on a regular virtualization host for the while. I'll just name it VM1. Maximum memory, I will just reduce it a little bit because I don't have such powerful virtual hosts. And here we need to provide a path to where to put the definition of the virtual machine. It will be SRV clusterFS. It has to be shared across all nodes. It doesn't need to be OCFS2, even though here I'm putting it there for simplicity. It can also be an NFS share. It doesn't need to be IO intensive. Now, a source template image for the VM. So I have SLE15SP2 disk image ready at hand here. And I need to set up the MAC address for my network. And we can create the machine. It may take us a small time to for the event to be picked and completed. But the UI will refresh automatically. There we go. Our virtual machine is appearing here in its start. Let's see in Hawk. We have the results defined. It will not show up yet in the Grafana dashboard because it's not registered and an exporter is not yet installed. Let's open the console, graphical console. So you see the VM is booting. And we will need to log into it. Now I will define the host name for this virtual machine. Restart Abahi since we have changed the host name. And now we'll configure salt to register the virtual machine on SUSE Manager. So just add the grains for the while. SUSE Manager, and add the activation key. 1 SLE 15 SP2. Now we also need to tell salt where to find the master. So we'll create a master.conf file and tell it to look for demoserve.tf.local. Now we can enable and start the salt minion. Now the salt minion is up, and in the salt keys we will see shortly our new VM appearing. Accept the salt key, and in a short while we will see it in the systems. We need to refresh the page. There you go, it is. We will wait for the high state to be applied, since this will have installed the Prometheus exporter. There it is. The high state has been applied. We can go to Grafana, check the Uni Client Systems dashboard. So not check the KVM cluster, but machines that are in no group. And now we see our VM1 system appearing here. Now our machine is ready. Let's play with it a little bit. In the virtualization tab here, we'll shut down the virtual machine. Started. So the action is done on the cluster, and now the machine is stopped. We'll start it again. And the VM is started on the cluster as well. We'll need to refresh the page. There was some timing issue. And there it's connected again. Now we will wait for the VM to boot completely, and we will live migrated to the other node of our cluster. There it is. I will just run top so that we can see the machine is live migrated. In Grafana here we see the interruption for the shutdown. And we will just click the migrate button, select the target host, and migrate it. The time for the migration is highly dependent on the amount of memory that is used by the virtual machine. The more memory the machine uses, the longer it will take to live migrate it. We can see here that the VM migration has started. And here we will wait for the console to refresh after the live migration is actually done. So the console is reconnecting. And now we're back on the virtual machine on the other node. Let's check in the cluster. So you see it's on demo KVM2. No interruption in Grafana shown. And here the machine has disappeared from demo KVM1. And we'll see in the virtual systems page that it's on demo KVM2 now. Now we'll remove the virtual machine to see that it removes also from the cluster. First, we need to remove it from SUSE Manager. This just deletes the instance on SUSE Manager. It doesn't delete the actual virtual machine. And now back on the virtualization page of our virtual host, you can click the delete button here, and this will delete the virtual machine, and it will remove it from the cluster. It's gone, and it's removed from the cluster. I hope you enjoyed the demo, and I hope to see many virtual machine clusters soon. Goodbye.